I wrote this reminder starting January 2020, and it played until I got tired of looking at it. This is what it said. Do not ask Gabriel questions. Do not remind or nag Gabriel. Remember that he is right. Work on not caring about your relationship so that you aren't upset when you feel neglected. Do not require him to take care of you. Find another source of income so that you don't burden him with asking for money while he is trying to start his restaurant. Take time to work on you, get selfish with you and your time. January 2020. Hello humans, I'm Fatu.
And I'm Dana.
And that was a little something that I wrote and actually set as a calendar reminder to myself. At that time, I was still severely broken, but not to the point as bad as it got. What do you think?
Okay. That's pretty extreme. That means that you were definitely in a sunken place one have to write that, and what you specifically wrote, and that you had to set a reminder
every day at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week.
But it is interesting, and it may seem like so sad, and it makes me think of like an ashy soul, like, because my soul is so deprived that it feels ashy because there's no moisture, there's no source pouring into me, sounds like, from what you're reading. But for some reason, it reminds me of black. And I say that because it reminds me of darkness. Mm-hmm. But remember how you were talking about that flower that grows in the dark?
Yeah. Oh, I have it tattooed.
Yeah, that's what I'm reminded of, because as desperate and destitute as you sound, there was still life.
Yeah.
In what you were saying.
Yeah, and the reason why I picked today to talk about this because
it's the day after Valentine's, and that's when the little side chicks and
I'm done with you. I don't even celebrate Valentine's Day. But because it was in the height of, the bankruptcy was going on, and a couple things were at play, because I like to be able to take care of me. I also, more than taking care of me, I like to take care of other people. And when I say that this marriage was the epitome of suck me dry, and I was just giving a chance, not given, but giving a chance to see that. And for a little while it had gotten better, and I don't know if it's because the realization that I may leave. So then, it got better. I was already feeling, and I should have probably left immediately, but I was also feeling like this is what I deserve.
I have a question.
Okay.
Initially, when you were dating,
there is no dating in Islam.
Or when you were courting?
I know through that.
Did you feel like you were dating, courting, marrying potential?
Yeah.
That's because I know that you're like extremely adamant about potential.
Yeah. Yeah. And I used to be big on, we can work on this together. Mm-hmm. And the potential. However, when you're dealing with someone who is very selfish, I don't like how, well, and people do, and I have thrown the word narcissist out, but there is a great deal of his personality that is narcissistic, but I also know that that comes from what he learned from his father. So it's the same whenever, like, later on when we started talking about getting into like parents and why parents aren't together and different things like that. I noticed that even though the talk of his father was lowly things, so to speak, on how he treated his mom and women, there was almost a boast there. You know, several times in our marriage, I remember asking him if he even liked women. Because, you know, for you to think low of women and you know, well, it depends on who the women are. Because I remember asking him, you know, so there was, you know, emotional abuse, there was neglect. The biggest thing for me was the financial abuse. And I remember asking him one day, he was, you know, looking up something Islamic, and I think he was going to give a lecture, or had been asked to do so. And I asked him, do you think that your sisters would approve being treated this way? I think something was going on with one of his sisters, and I heard him talking about it on the phone, and he said no. So then, why do I deserve it? And it always be, well, I'm trying to be better. It used to infuriate me when he would write these long posts on Facebook about how the women should be held high in regard and the men should be doing this, and he was doing nothing. And I mean nothing. And he would say, you know, it's just a reminder to the believers, and I always remind myself first, well, when are you gonna start taking heed to that? You know? But what's more aggravating, and I think I wrote a post the other day that said I survived in a household with people who hated me but benefited from me. He benefited from me tremendously. Nor would he ever say that he did. Maybe to other people, but it's almost like Bertha syndrome. I will say it maybe to someone else, but to you, I'm not going to really say that, and I'm going to down you. When you think about all the things that I have tolerated, for me to file my taxes this year, and we've been Islamically divorced for like 2 years, but legally divorced just last year. And for him, because he feels as though I don't know how to find him or anything, because last year we didn't file our taxes together and I didn't have this issue, but he filed me on his taxes, stole my money as if you haven't stolen enough money from me. And then now you get to what? What? The level of anger that I have in me right now did fuck my head up, because when I get angry, I get this rash nowadays. You know, I don't ever remember this happening, and it may have been happening my whole life, but not really paid attention. I've never been this stressed, but I've never realized or felt the anger rash.
Again, how long have you been bald?
Over a year now, almost 2 years, maybe.
So you felt
no.
So maybe that's part of the reason you didn't notice it either, because you had your dreads.
Yeah.
So you didn't notice.
Yeah.
But I have a question.
Okay. I hope I have an answer.
You're beginning to express your emotions about how you feel about what he did, what transpired. When it comes to made the statement about your taxes, him following you on the taxes this year, but he didn't follow you last year because you knew where
I knew where he was.
to get in contact with him. This question was asked by a amazing friend of ours that is also a counselor. So oftentimes we get counseled in the midst of our normal conversations.
Doesn't
which we
really
love.
turn off.
We appreciate it so much. But I like to ask that question of why wouldn't he? If one of his number 3 things to adversely do to you is to cause you financial hardship, why would he not continue to
well, I, in a sensible world, am thinking, I'm out of sight, out of mind. I'm leaving you the entire like, when I am done with someone, it's like they don't even exist. And if I'm not bothering you, what the fuck are you bothering me? But now when I'm saying that, that's not all entirely true.
What's not entirely true?
That the harassment never really stopped. It just went to different forms.
Okay.
So first it was, I didn't have to, but I suspended my Facebook page because I realized that he has all these other pages. Even when we were under the same roof, I asked him to remove me. He claims that there's something on Facebook that won't allow you to do it. I'm not sure. And I didn't really use Facebook or even start to really get back on Facebook until, because I had completely logged out of it and I had to figure out my password and all that other kind of shit. It wasn't until I wanted to start to get the podcast together. So instead of trying to create a whole nother page, I could just, adjust the people I need to adjust if I want to or need to. And then, there we go. You have access, to more people to watch. But anyway, the pages were still there. And so I figured out a way to take myself out of like a couple of them, but there was one that I couldn't get off of. And like, I'm asking, just please remove me. But I'm not even asking in text form on this. I'm actually going on the Facebook page and putting, please remove me. I've asked you years ago. Only for that to be deleted, but you're still connected. And so I got extra petty. I don't even know, it probably was in the middle, I'm always up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I realized that the post was removed. So I changed all of the profiles on all of them. Like the ones that I couldn't remove myself from. So like the profile picture, all of the information that was on there that people would need to see, the background, all of that shit. I did it on the sub pages and somehow was removed from those, but the other 2 that I removed myself from were back. Like, it could be a glitch in Facebook, or I just think it's not a glitch anyway, because once I did it to the main page, then they disappeared. So then why didn't you do it from the beginning? The same thing on Instagram. So I just logged out of that page and I don't even use that page. And I just, for my This Could Be a Book, I created a whole new system. That was then, and then a couple months later, it was following me on TikTok, so I blocked him. To asking for Sharice, if I have a P.O. box to send Zay something. Like every so many months, there's something. Like, move the fuck on. You're looking at me like you have something to say or a question to ask while I was venting.
Yeah, so you know how people say like that you're, when you're done, that you have no emotional attachment to it, but like if you're angry and mad and all of that, then that means that you still have some emotions there. What do you think about that in this regard?
I'm angry now with him And so that emotion is there, but prior to, no, the only emotion was, how could I have been so hard and hateful towards me that I would tolerate that for a period of time? And it just kept getting worse and worse. So the emotion is more so with me and looking within me to figure out, like, what the fuck is your problem?
Okay, so once you do establish that, yeah, I always say the 2 A's. It ain't triple A, it's the double A. It's allowing and accepting, the negativity and the bad things that happen. We can be mad at whoever it is for only a certain portion or a certain extent. It can it's very minute when you think of it quantitatively, because at the end of the day, we either allowed or we accepted.
I did both.
The behavior, the emotions, or whatever it is that the person receives. So once you realized and you acknowledged that it was you that accepted and allowed, how did you feel at that moment, and how did you begin to and are you still processing, taking yourself out of that black hole that you allowed yourself or accepted that you were going to fall into?
I'm still processing.
Okay.
When I really hit the rock bottom is when I was coming up with a plan to kill myself, really.
Okay.
Because I felt super stuck.
Okay.
Well, I was stuck, actually.
So, like, part of this could be a book is like talking about your trauma and healing from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the healing process, since you're still going through it, what are you doing?
I do a lot of crying. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of pet and mazikeen.
So you have an emotional support animal?
Yes.
Without having an emotional support
She's
animal?
my emotional support animal. Getting mazikeen really saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have such an attachment to her.
And when you talk about writing, will you write good days, bad days, feelings, emotions?
You have to write both.
Mm-hmm.
Because when there are a lot of bad days, when you have good days, when you have bad days again, you want to go back and read the good to help you get through the bad.
Okay. Man, I just had a question. Oh, okay. So you said that that you what you read earlier. You said that you had it on your phone for a while. So you no longer have that on your phone?
No, I haven't had it in a very long time.
Do you have something positive or something different that comes to your phone for you daily now?
Like that I have written or something, affirmation like that?
Like, yeah, like a written post, like...
No. The only thing that I get daily is like our prayer, and our affirmation.
Okay.
But nothing that I have just...
So that's for us.
I used to send out... Why you say
affirmation, because I get it every day at 5.
What is it?
You're worthy of love.
Really?
You're worthy of happiness, yeah.
And it's crazy because I used to send that to the kids. Sheree, Chelsea, Jackson, and Journey.
What's crazy about it?
Huh?
What's crazy about it?
I stopped.
Because...
I just figured I don't want to hear that shit. I didn't realize I was still sending, that it was still coming.
So
that's why I would
Christmas,
wake up and see that. Oh man, that makes
Christmas,
sense.
During my meditation time, which is crazy because it seems like it's always happening during Christmas when I have those weeks off. God put it heavily on my heart to start sending quotes and affirmations on a weekly basis. And it began with us talking about celebrating Kwanzaa instead of Christmas. And then I just started researching what the different meanings were for each week. And I was just like, I don't want this just to be something I'm doing around Christmas. Like, I want this to be like part of my life, part of my everyday life. Kind of like, we didn't decide to start eating healthy because we just wanted to diet for a certain period of time. We began to eat healthy because we wanted to be a consistent life change.
Yeah.
And so every 7 weeks I do a different forms of setting. And this week is community. And so
we helped community yesterday.
What just came to mind is it's often said, whatever you're lacking, you should pour into others.
Mm-hmm.
And so that goes with community as well. So as you're pulling yourself out, this is a great way. This could be a book, is pulling somebody else out, but you're giving them some tangible things that you're doing. Like you said, you write your good and your bad, you cry. You said, what else you do? What else do you do?
Rub Mazzy.
Rub Mazzy. Okay. What else could you do?
Anything, I suppose. What would you like for me to do?
I would like for you to come up with 3 things that you could add to the crying and the rubbing and the writing.
Oh, I do dance in the dark.
Okay.
Like nobody's watching. So 2 things.
So then you got 2 things left.
To do what?
They bring you joy and happiness that you will do when you're sad and you begin to see yourself falling back down in the darkness.
Okay, do I have to come up with them now?
Just something to think about. If you come up with them by the time we finish, then that's awesome. So, how long were you in the relationship?
8 years.
And so they say that however long you've been in a relationship, it takes you half of that time
To do what?
to get over it. What do you think about that theory?
I think I'm over it. I was over it the moment I said, this is over. I was done then.
Yeah.
Part of the grieving of a relationship process sometimes, and unfortunately, happens during the relationship. And as far as just packing up and leaving, because he financially stripped me, I couldn't just automatically leave.
Yeah.
And so,
go into detail in that, because unfortunately, this person caused you to go into a bankruptcy, and so now you're going to work every day and not getting a check. How did that make you feel, and how did you get out of it? How did you survive in that system?
I honestly don't even know how I survived. I don't know how I survived that. As honest as I can answer. The fact that he would be happy that I would be at work, working 10 hours a day, 4 days a week, dealing with all kind of fucked upness and people and work stress, only to they didn't give paychecks, but after probably like a month, it didn't take me long, I wouldn't even pull up my pay stub because it would say 0.00. And then, if he could bother to give me $200 a week, that's what I had to survive on. So, living, what was minimalist? I was, if I wanted to do something, or I wanted to get something for Xavier, or if I wanted to help somebody, I would have to save so that I would be able to help them and try to get anything that I needed, because never got a necessity bought. So, once I learned that I could get my own attorney and sever that and start to get my paychecks again, that's when shit got volatile, because I didn't tell him that they would stop garnishing my wages, so he didn't care that this is yet another. So, and I have 2 bankruptcies on my credit, and so he got a letter from the law firm stating that this is how much he would have to pay, and it was said because they were no longer going to be garnishing my wages, so I'll be getting my money. And I remember I'd gone over to Sharif and Chelsea's. I think we're playing Uno and laughing at Zay. But I remember coming to the house or going home and going in the room, and the letter from his attorney was on the pillow. So like in the house, when you walked in, the master bedroom, they had converted the formal dining and living. So literally the bedroom was the length of the house. And so you can enter it when you first come in the door. There's a door to enter the bedroom, and there's one through the kitchen. And I always would go through this one, never really, walked around. And so he was sitting on, we also had 2 couches in there. And so he was sitting on one couch. And, if he could beat my ass, he probably would have. At that moment. He would.
If he could.
If he could, meaning if there would be no repercussions. Because that's the one thing that, even though he did hit me one time, that was the only thing that he didn't abuse me with. If that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So I could tell that he was angry, and I saw the letter on my pillow. But I mean, I already knew, and my attorney had already called me and told me that the letter was going to be sent out to him and when he would get it. So I knew that he was going to be getting it, and so he said, "So you'll start to get your checks back," because he knew that if I was still collecting money, I would have left. And it's crazy because when I think about the timeline of when I was going to leave, or I'm getting prepared to leave, like I'm just done and I've had it, really is when he called me and said, "Hey, we have to go see an attorney tomorrow." And then when I get there, he had already signed the paperwork. So the dates of signature are not the same. So the only reason why I even knew about even being put on bankruptcy is because the house was also in my name. He couldn't just do it, without my consent. So he signed the name to the bankruptcy? No, he couldn't, because you have to sit, physically in front of someone. So I remember when the lady was talking to me and I'm asking questions, not knowing what's going on, because we had a specific arrangement. He would pay the mortgage and I would pay the other bills. So the other bills are getting paid, and it wasn't like I wasn't checking in. At this point, it's almost like we're just roommates anyway. Like, did you pay? Is everything fine? And he's telling me yes. And then to get hit with, it's not being paid. And now the house will go into foreclosure. So I'm thinking, we have the kids with us. We have to find, it was just a whole bunch of, Johnny on the spot. I was like, well, I can't lose the house, blah, blah, blah. And I don't really know much about bankruptcies or anything like that. But I knew that I just didn't want to have to try to not really find a place to move, but I didn't want to lose the house at that moment in time. I was thinking about everybody that was in the house. So even at that point, I had already removed from taking care of myself, and it was just like Shree, Chelsea, and Xavier, and then Bertha, and then we had Yeshua. And so, it was like nightmarish at that moment in time. And they said, they would only take a certain amount, blah, 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 however they explained it to me. I didn't really leave there thinking that it would take my whole entire paycheck. So literally he's not paying anything towards the bankruptcy. He's just paying the other bills that occur in the house because I physically can't, because they are garnishing my wages. So I couldn't physically leave. And that's when those were the absolute darkest times. Because, and to realize through there is when I realized that I more than dislike him, almost hate him, because he took pleasure in the fact that he took the one thing that he always used to say to me in such a despising tone about not needing him. And so, but I paid the bills, you know, and he sold, he was trying to get sold plates and catering because he was trying to get a restaurant. And I'm on board, you know, initially, you know, let's get it together. And then I started to realize that he was taking advantage. And even at that moment, that's why I have that don't nag, because I basically nagged him into getting a job. And then even with his first paycheck, of knowing that I had paid the bills, I remember the real breaking point was, I think his sister needed some money and I had nothing because I had paid all the bills, and he took his paycheck and gave it to her. And at that moment I was like, okay, that's it, we're done. And I don't know, somewhere abouts, I don't know if he went and took the money back, I don't know, however it was, but I ended up then with the actual money. But the damage was already done. And so after that, then it was, he started putting in, you know, on the bills, and then he went from one job till he got another job. So things started to get better, but it still wasn't, it was better financially, but not better in any other way. And so, it was just crumbling. He used to tell me that I was manly. Because I wasn't soft, and that I was trying to make decisions like a man, you know, and not, you know, I wasn't submissive enough, I wasn't womanly enough. And then it would be, you know, damn near an argument, because I would be like, why would I be? So a man pays the bills, take care of the house, you know, and this, that, and the third. And if I am doing that, then how are you the man? Just because you have a penis? But the answer is yes. Because he has a penis, then I'm beneath him. That was when I first started asking, do you really like women? Or do you like men?
How long did y'all for?
Maybe 3 months.
3 months?
Probably 3 months. Yeah. I was just all the way around him.
Let's say naive. Let's not say dumb.
I was going
Yeah. Be very intentional about.
When I speak about that, intentionally, I was dumb. I was trying to fulfill an Islamic obligation as well.
That's what it was. So that's what it was. It was just you being naive, trying to.
Because
you had that you know, when you first get saved. And you be excited and you want to save everybody around you and start doing that. Don't drink that water. It got too much cucumber in it, and you're gonna go to hell. So you can't.
Yeah.
You know, you just be overzealous when you're first in the faith.
And then, you know, when you start to hear about how, you know, there's that talk about women with kids is low fruit and all of that, and then I couldn't have kids. So it was always suggested to me that I would be someone's second wife, because, you know, if I can't pop babies out, then I don't really bring nothing to the relationship, apparently.
So how does it feel to be someone's first wife?
How does it feel?
Well, you have to answer the question because you said you were always told that you would be someone's
I'm
second.
talking Islamically. This is what I'm talking about Islamically.
Oh, okay.
So like the men can have more than one wife. So I was told for a while that because I couldn't have children, either don't tell them until you're married that you can't have kids, or then be someone's second wife. Especially because I honestly didn't want to be bothered either.
What you mean bothered? What does that entail?
Like I didn't want to
be in a relationship.
Yeah, no.
Hold on, this was prior to getting married.
Yeah, I was
go
not
from-
married for a long
How you go
time.
from not wanting to be bothered to married? Fulfilling the Islamic principles.
There you go.
Okay.
That's
That's very interesting.
What is it? Long story short? Yeah. Short
I always
story
say,
short.
long story longer.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that, even as angry as I am, and how stupid I feel, I also feel that I learned a lesson.
Oh yeah.
But more than anything, I learned to get back to me, because I hadn't been for so long. That's why I got emotional. It was maybe in January, December. It may have been like end of December, beginning of January, when Sharif was like, "You're finally getting back to you. No, I finally am seeing you happy," because he knew that I was not happy for years on years on years. But I learned that even though I don't feel very strong, there's a strength in me that's called I will not be outdone. Remember, you ever heard me say that? Like, whether it is opening that damn vanilla bottle, the water jug,
Yeah, you got outdone by the water jug though. That water
No,
jug,
I did
That
not.
water jug almost took you out.
No, excuse me. Did I get the water? Did I get the water out of the jug? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay,
Where's
so
the jug?
the jug is in the trash where it belongs.
No, we reused the jugs.
What'd you do with the top?
It was still connected to the bottom.
So you just put it in there with the top open?
No, I threw it away. That particular one. is in the
That's what I'm
trash.
saying. It's in
Yeah.
the trash. There's a lot of things that I always say, and that is the one thing that keeps me going. I will not be outdone. And I don't know at what point I said that to myself, but I just remember having some type of strength coming back. I wish I could pinpoint a moment, but I know my Sunday reflections, when I started doing that shit was amazing as well. And
What is
people
it?
don't know what my Sunday reflection, I would go to, moving the thing. Oh, I did it too, sorry. I go to Starbucks and I get my Grande Peppermint White Mocha with coconut milk. And I sit in the car and I journaled. And I wrote and I came up with plans and I talked to myself. Remember I told you I talk to me, I listen to me, but sometimes I don't follow me. No, this time though it was almost like with a purpose. Like, you have to get out of here, because then I realized by that time, Sharif and Chelsea had gotten their own place. So now I was literally left in a house with everyone who hated me, but benefited from me, my mother included. Because she will tell people she didn't like him or he was beneath me or whatever, but she tried to play games between the both of us. When I told her that I was going to divorce him, she tried to convince me not to divorce him, and it wasn't because she was looking out for me, she was looking out for herself. but his son and his son's girlfriend had moved in, and it was just hostile and hectic, and they like to blame me for it, you know. But these are grown people who, so I'm not a parent who kicks their child out at 18. As long as you're trying to better yourself, like you can't just come in and or live there and not try to be better. So, you know, we let him, or, well, I didn't even really want them to move out ever, but Sharif, Chelsea, and Xavier, you know, they worked and they saved, you know, so that they would be able to get their own place, so that when they get their own place, it's not a constant struggle after struggle after struggle. But selfishly, you know, Zay was there, and so I always wanted to be with him and whatever, whatnot. But they moved out. They got their own apartment, but his son and his girlfriend didn't want to work. They just wanted to be taken care of, and even helping his father was even a drag. You know, when he would have to make deliveries, he'd be like, well, does it have to be on time? Because he was trying to play his video games. But it was just a house of people who were entitled because they just wanted to be taken care of. And who the hell was I saying, no, you need to get a job. You know, something has to be different. Something has to be, you know, you can't just sit here and do nothing. And then when you do get food for whatever reason, you label it. But you eat all the other food in the house, but label your food. Like when I think back, I'm like, man, these are some subhumans. You know, I like to call people
amazing people.
No, they're subhumans.
Amazing.
Do you know what subhumans are? You know what that is? It's a person that is not human.
Yeah, but you know,
they're subhumans.
You know how I am.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being
beyond extremely sarcastic when it comes to negativity.
Well, anyway, and you know, I used to always think to myself, one day they'll have to be in a situation where they're going to realize the mistreatment. But when you think that you are in the right for being disrespectful and rude to someone, and the house where they pay the mortgage, and you pay no bill in this motherfucker, you're never gonna learn.
Life has a way of teaching us.
I don't know. I mean, I remember we had a family group, and I was telling them how, you know, if you are 18 and older, you at least have to have a part-time job. So they went and bought this spent all of their money on this bummy ass, what is it? No, the big buses, but campers, because they were just going to go travel. So, and they were upset that they were being made to work at least part-time and clean up in their area. So instead of doing those things, they went and bought a camper so they wouldn't have to live in the house.
And then what happened to the camper?
It didn't work, so they had to be there anyway.
And they were still there with no jobs.
They gotta have part-time jobs.
So you remember being there and receiving 0.00 on your check, but you don't remember the emotions of what you felt. You were just
rage.
A dead man walking.
Oh, I was rageful. I was extremely upset and angry.
So
if I had lasers, if I could snap my finger like Thanos and they would be gone, they would have been gone a long time ago. Like
describe what a day was like from beginning to end. Like you woke up and you did what?
On a work day or non-work day? On a work day?
Describe on a work day and then describe on a
you get up, you pray Fajr, get up, shower, leave to go to work. I worked 10-hour shift. I would come home from work. I would change clothes and get in the bed and watch TV in the dark.
Then
rinse and repeat.
Okay, Monday through Thursday. Okay. What does a weekend consist of?
Me
Because
sitting in
there's
the
no-
same spot all weekend watching TV in the dark. I did not leave the house unless I absolutely had to. And I always had on a hoodie, and the hoodie was always on.
And you didn't communicate with any outside friends or family?
Not really, no.
We just in a sunken place.
Mm-hmm. That was my life. You know, when Sharif and Chelsea lived there, they would come. Chelsea would come and flip all the lights on.
What about the church? How did that impact? What was that like when you were
My
going
mom's
to-
church?
No, your version of the church.
Oh, people at the masjid. I didn't talk to anyone. I tell you,
people at the masjid, just the masjid itself.
I didn't. I did not consult anybody at the masjid. I mean, for why? What are they gonna do? Especially in a religion where it's men based. They probably would have advised me. I'm pretty sure they would advise me to leave. But when you are getting 0.00 on your check, you can't leave.
Okay. So you do feel that if you would have spoken to like what is it called?
The imam.
That you would have been advised to dissolve the marriage.
Oh yeah.
But it's like you already felt that way, so it's no point in adding one more person to this.
No, at that point, for a long time, it was I'm just waiting out this bankruptcy. Okay. And then once it's done, we're done. And that's basically what I'd already told him anyway. It wasn't until really I started getting my paychecks again that he even acted interested. It was so weird, like from one day to the next. One day, it would be, we may give each other salams when we walk in the house, and that's the only thing that's talked about. And then the next day it's, I know you wanted to go skydiving, used to ask, I can go get these tickets. I'm not going anywhere with you.
You don't want to jump out the plane now.
It may have been a thing of him no parachute and me push him out of the plane. I despised him. I had to convince myself that he was not worth my life or freedom.
Okay. When you would pray Fajr. Did you hear at any time during that?
Leave, yes, but I can't leave. I should have left, but I mean, you leave with what?
So that's all the direction that you were given?
Leave. Screaming, leave, but you can't leave when your paychecks are 0.00. And then I was told that about the whole, you can get a different attorney, you can sever that. And then, and we pulled the paperwork because they pulled the cars. We had 2 cars at that time. One was mine, and the other one, I am primary, he's secondary on. And the only things in the bankruptcy that had my name on it was the house and the 2 cars. When I finally severed, I think at that point I had already paid over $60,000 to find out that nothing really was paid. Like these people were just lining their pockets. And what made me even inquire or even talk about that the bankruptcy to get some type of direction was that I had questions about what's getting paid, how much longer does this have to get paid, and none of it was making sense. And when I called to inquire, can I set up a meeting, they would not talk to me without him because the cases were joined together. But even after those meetings, which could have been a total lie as well, he was telling me that he had spoke to them. So why would you talk to him? His wages are not being garnished. Mine are. So why the fuck you not talking to me? That was when I started trying to figure out how to get it. And I don't remember how the conversation went one day. I was at work and one of my coworkers was telling me about a specific lawyer that you can go to. You can do this, and it's gonna mess you up for a long period of time, but you'll recover. Da 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 da. And so, I remember I had to scrounge up. I had to swallow my pride and ask my mom to help me. I had to save up. So at that time, even the $200 that I was supposed to get a week wasn't coming all the time. So I had to save in order to, when I went to go talk to a lawyer, I told him what was going on. And he told me, okay, if you pay like a down payment of this, which was like $500, then we can work. We'll sever the checks, and then it will be be easier. And he wasn't gonna like take my whole check like them. He would at least help me to keep some money so I can start saving up. And so the other law firm had told me that I couldn't get credit cards or anything like that. And he said that's not true. You would just have to report it to them. But they probably would have maybe had to adjust the amount that they were taking. Not to mention, whenever I would get a raise at work and I would get money, that money then would have to go to them. So then, every year people get raises, and then they would ask for the paperwork, and they end up taking it, but nothing was getting paid. Anyway, so severed the case, started getting my money. Once I paid him off, then I started saving, and then this was like August, and I got like he told me to fill out 2 specific credit cards. I got those, and I started making small payments. That was November. I got a car, and then in January was when I really wasn't there a lot. Then it was just home to get dressed for work, come home from work, grab Mazzy, and then come here. And then get up early to go home, take a shower, go to work, and then rinse and repeat.
What's the song say? Pick up the pieces. So it seems like you are beginning to literally pick up the pieces and slowly but surely put your cup back together.
This is really good.
And
sorry, yes, I am. But I feel like I got hit with the backwards button.
You know what just came to my mind?
Because I then have to put more work into, so like, I filed the police report.
Yeah.
The paper has to come from the IRS, so I can fill all of that out, and then figure out, okay, this is when I get the information back from the IRS, like press charges and all of that, because he has access to my information. Mm-hmm. This is not the first time that he's forged my signature on something.
What I was going to say, maybe we can continue this at another time if your answer isn't going to be brief because of time. But it's interesting that your best friend, your true friend, wasn't there at the time.
No.
Because God needed her more.
Oh, yeah, we may have to pick this up at a different time, because not only does it make me sad, and I always think about her, but double time lately because it's almost the anniversary of her passing. But I remember being upset one day and crying because I was so upset, and he laughed at me about her passing. That was the day that I took my gun and moved it upstairs.
Huh?
Yeah. I was upset at the fact, I'm grieving. And he laughed. that was probably the first day that I told myself that he wasn't worth my life or freedom. And as much as even Bertha and I weren't talking, living in the same house either, she didn't even know that I was up there for a while. Actually, had been up there for months before she realized that it was up there. And I think I had to tell her that it was there.
That's just interesting to be in that kind of relationship and there be a gun available to either of you. Like, that's interesting. Yeah, wow. I thank God every day when I hear stories and, you tell me about certain things. Because, it's often said you always think your life is bad until you hear someone else's story.
Absolutely.
I have had some, I don't even call them friends because they're my sisters, but I've had some sisters through my hardships, and I was even blessed enough to grab some new sisters along the way that I feel like they've been there for me since forever ago, since going into adulthood. And, I'm extremely grateful for the foundation of my faith. I know my source, I know who I am, I know whose I am. And there are no words to express knowing my purpose and being able to live my purpose. So, man, I hear your story and it's just like, I just feel like I need to go do a praise break of just gratefulness and just joy and happiness. Because as bad as I thought that my life was at times, I was going through nothing.
And what's devastating is what I went through to someone would be nothing.
And
to me, that's what's hurtful.
Wow.
To know that somebody has it worse than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I just got like emotional thinking about that shit, man.
What?
Somewhere somebody is married to someone, right? Yeah. Even just this little small aspect of my life. Yeah. Somewhere it is worse because some man is doing all of this and physically abusing
But you know
someone.
What we can do?
Pray for him.
Yeah.
Because I see it.
We do serve a good God, and one thing that we do know is that He hears our prayers.
For sure.
And so we can definitely pray for them. Send our positive energy, our love, our joy, our happiness. Send your unwavering strength.
Yeah.
To them, energy wise, and just pray for breakthrough. And look at how we got full circle.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Yeah.
Just talking about whatever you're going through, help somebody else out of that situation so that you could feel better about what you're going through.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Look at that.
Look at God.
How do you feel right now?
Hungry.
Of course. Everything starts and ends with food.
But no, like I feel like, I mean, that is true because I am a fat kid, but I feel like I need comfort food.
Yeah, because that's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. Because it's been a lot that, I don't know, just when I think about the pain I endured even getting my hair cut. And knowing that still under the surface, I can still see where it's, raised.
Yeah.
And it was so bad.
Definitely not as bad as it looked yesterday. Shout out to YouTube, man. You can find literally anything on YouTube. And as I was cutting her hair, I literally just went to how do you take care of razor bumps after shaving your head. And there was an incredible African American.
But what's crazy is, but the crazy thing is that you Googled razor bumps, but they were stress bumps.
That part.
That's what's so just, and I can still feel like it's not as bad, but it was so bad that I couldn't even lay my head on the pillow without it hurting.
Yeah.
Nothing could touch it. So.
So this episode of This Could Be a Book is called
B.A.N.
B.A.N.
Bitch ass nigga.
I was, B.A.N.
Sorry, I had to say it because that's basically what he is. And B.A.N.
B.A.N.
is listed in my phone with the Krusty the Clown face.
That's what's up. You got a B.A.N.
But also, leave me the fuck alone. How about that? Like, I'm not even fucking with you, and I'm not even trying to deal with you. Like, I am trying to be rid of you across the motherfucking board. Leave me the fuck alone. I shouldn't have to go to the police to get you to leave me alone. But since I had to go there, such is life. Peace to the humans, my humalians, and fuck you subhumans. That's how I feel.
That's what's up.